This video is on the technical analysis of XMR USD, and at this point in time we are on the monthly chart, as you guys can see. And on this chart we can see that we actually have this area over here, right? And we can see that as much as we seem to be in a downward trending market, this area is very much mixed, as we have a lot of patterns within this area. Number one, we have this inverted head and shoulders pattern, as you guys can see, which has the left shoulder on the side. This is the head over here, and we have the right shoulder on the side over here, right? And this pattern also has a neckline more or less at that level. And as much as we have the neckline at that level, what might potentially happen is we may see the market actually move further up to where we have the neckline, and actually at the neckline move further down, because number one, we are still in a downward trending market, and number two, we also have these two candlesticks over here, and what they are liquidity candlesticks, as they are bearish candlesticks with relatively small bodies and long lower wicks, right? And you guys know that the market will always go to where the money is. So I'm just going to mark those two candlesticks at the bottom where they end. The first one is here, and I'll mark the next one as well. Just bear with me. Right, so we could say that that's the other area. Anyway, let's continue. So what else do we see in regards to the monthly chart over and above us having this inverted head and shoulders pattern? At this point I don't really see much, but I also want to point out that as much as we have this inverted head and shoulders pattern, which has a neckline at that point, we also have an overextended W structure over here, which also had a neckline at that point. We saw at this level over here actually the market closing above that neckline and then coming back to just below that neckline, right? Anyway, let's proceed. Another thing that I also want to point out is that we have this candlestick over here, and what it is a bullish candlestick which has a small body and quite a long upper wick. And what it tells us is that we have a lot of liquidity stuck here, and in the future we will see the market actually head up to grab that liquidity, right? Anyway, let's head down to the weekly chart and see what's happening down there. Let's have a look. Here we are on the weekly chart, and just to recap, remember on the monthly chart we spoke about how we have that huge inverted head and shoulders pattern which has the right shoulder somewhere at this level, and we said that the market may potentially move up to where the neckline is of that pattern, right? But here we are on the weekly chart, and what do we see on the weekly chart that we should be paying attention to? Let's have a look. Let's have a look on the weekly chart. I see another pattern, which is this pattern over here. It's also a head and shoulders pattern which has the left shoulder at this point, the head is at that point, and the right shoulder is at that level, and it too tells us that we may potentially see the market actually move further down, especially because we have those two candlesticks that I spoke about earlier that are carrying all of that liquidity, right? So this level over here, or this area, in my humble opinion, is very much mixed, and at this time, or at this point in time, based on what I'm seeing, the market can go in either direction, either to the upside or the bottom side. Nonetheless, we can see that the market is very much mixed at this point in time. Anyway, from here what I will do is head down to the daily chart. Let's see if we can get away with getting an entry at this point. And here we are on the daily chart. On the daily chart, I'm just going to add my daily channel, and I would add my channel in this manner. Just bear with me. Let's have a look. There we go. And we can see that as much as on the bigger time frames, such as on the monthly chart, we're in a downward trending market, but in as far as the daily chart goes, we are indeed in an upward trending market, and we may potentially see the market move up as well, despite the fact that we have this pattern over here, which is a head and shoulders pattern. Just also bear in mind that this level over here is where we have the right shoulder of that inverted head and shoulders pattern that we drew on the monthly chart, and that we may potentially see the market from where it is actually move further up, right? Keeping with the fact that we have this trend line on the daily chart, right? Anyway, let's continue. Let's zoom in and see what else is happening at this point. Let's have a look. At this point, I don't really see much in as far as the daily chart goes. However, I can also see on this chart that what we have is we had this M structure over here, which had a neckline at that point. We saw the market at this level breaking that neckline somewhat, coming back into the neckline, and then playing around in that area, making this M structure, in my humble opinion, no longer relevant. To add to that, we also had another M structure over here, which had a neckline at that point, and we can see that the neckline at this level has been broken. And you guys know rather that ideally, whenever we have these patterns, such as the M formation, we want to see the neckline being violated to the downside, price heading back to the neckline to test it, and where the neckline is generally where we look for those potential selling opportunities, right? And as I've said, we have here this M structure, and the neckline has been violated at this point, and also we can see that price went back to the neckline to test it, and I believe at that point we should be looking for those potential selling opportunities, right? I hope what I'm saying makes sense, right? Anyway, just remember that at this point in time over here we have that right shoulder of the head and shoulders pattern, right? And as much as I'm saying that we have this M structure and we should potentially be selling at this point, right, we may get a false move where price actually moves slightly down only to continue to move further up due to the fact that we have this area being the right shoulder of that head and shoulders pattern, right? Other than that, in as far as XMR USD goes, I don't like this chart actually because it's a bit messy, and if we actually pay attention to this area, we can see that the market has been moving rather sideways for some time. To add to that, I would say that buying or selling at this point in time is very, very risky, and myself personally, I'd rather wait for the market to move that down to around this level, which is where we have that huge candlestick, which is a liquidity candlestick, and at this point I may potentially look for those buying opportunities. The other alternative is to wait for the market to move even further down to that candlestick that I also spoke about on the monthly time frame. If I can just go back, just bear with me, which is at this point over here, right, at this level over here, right? That's where I would look for potential buying opportunities. But at this point in time, the markets are just too messed up, and I don't see any actual buying or selling opportunities for that matter